Everyone. I'm privileged to welcome all of you to the third edition of the Orange City Literature Festival organized by SGR Knowledge Foundation in association with GH Raisoni University, powered by Raisoni Groups of Institutions. A platform that celebrates wisdom, experiences, narrations, and notions from all walks of life. Having said that, it is thrilling to be here with you all today. I am Mustafa, delighted and enlightened to be your anchor for today's session. Operation Khukri. We have with us Major General Rajpal Punia. I would really like to have a round of applause for Major Rajpal General Punia sir with us. Major General Rajpal Punia. He joined the National Defense Academy at a tender age of 16. He graduated from the Indian Military Academy from Dehradun on 9th June 1984 and was commissioned as second lieutenant into 14 Mechanized Infantry Battalion. The officer qualified for the prestigious Defense Services Staff College, Wellington in the year 1996 and successfully completed the course, and he was selected to be the post of the brigade major of the Tamdhar Brigade, deployed along the line of control in a high altitude area. The officer successfully controlled the trans line of control, firing during the Kargil operation and immediately after the Indian victory in Kargil, and was selected to command a company in the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Sierra Leone. Post-deployment of the peacekeeping force, the civil war recommenced in Sierra Leone, and the only demand from the rebels being to lay down weapons. The officer not only successfully handled the delicate situation by the way of diplomacy, but also orchestrated Operation Khukri to extricate 233 Indian peacekeepers from Kalahun, and for his bravery in the face of enemy. He was awarded the prestigious Yudh Seva Medal by the President of India. The officer was selected for attending the coveted National Defense College course in Thailand and the Senior Mission Leader course at Tokyo, Japan. A rare officer to have commanded a mountain brigade and an armored division. While commanding the armored division at Hisar, he successfully executed the Operation Dera Sacha Sauda at Sirsa and vacated the Dera of Ram Rahim Hisar. He vacated the Dera of Ram Rahim by launching a cordon operation around the Dera. However, he ensured the seamless execution of the operation by ensuring that no damage to civilian lives and property. The officer, along with his daughter Damini Punia, has authored the book Operation Khukri, and he is here amongst us to share the true story of Operation Khukri. Truly, I must say it is my immense honor and pleasure to have you with us, sir, today. Now, before we move ahead, I would like to acknowledge the support of Penguin Publication, as their support and association has been really valuable to the Orange City Literature Festival. Now, I would like to tell the audience that we have a video about the Operation Khukri, and for your better understanding, now we'll play the video for you.
I am still haunted by this boy. My camera has saved lives, but not this time. Could I have done more to save him? Another nameless victim of the endless tragedy of Africa.
Yes, look at the fight, take the boss man. But let them give me
Freetown, capital of Sierra Leone, my country. My name is Soria Samura. For most of my life, it's been a good place to live, rich in natural resources, the envy of the West. Much of our wealth has come from things most people have little knowledge of. They should have been a blessing, instead they are a curse. They have torn Sierra Leone apart in a bloody civil war, for who controls them controls the country. They are diamonds. I work as a cameraman editor, much of the time for the United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, filming their work with children here. But through the 90s, the fighting came ever closer to my home in Freetown. As it grew in brutality, I used the only weapon I had, my camera. A year ago, my life changed forever. My pictures of the war won me these international awards, but very little of the footage has actually been shown, judged too extreme for television. Now, you may judge for yourselves. In the battle for Freetown, the vaguest suspicion was enough for either side to kill. So many died that bodies were dumped outside the city's mortuary. We had seen familiar parts of the place we lived in turned into battlefields. You became glad when you didn't recognize the next body you came across. In this madness, my job was to recover history happening in my country, where random roadside justice was the order of the day.
Jai Hind, ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw in the video was the situation when we went to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, a country in West Africa, had suffered for about 10 years of civil war. Atrocities caused by Revolutionary United Front was something difficult to even see than to even think of the people who were suffering in Sierra Leone. I was commanding a company which was deployed as part of United Nations peacekeeping in Sierra Leone in the year 1999. We were deployed with a mandate for peacekeeping. And you can understand what kind of a peacekeeping we can do in a country where what you saw just now was prevailing the time when we went there. I am the cause for Operation Khukri. I am the man who participated and successfully executed Operation Khukri. And I am the trophy for the success in Operation Khukri. All three in one would be very difficult to see anywhere else in the world. To see the man because of whom Operation Khukri happened. Also, the same man executes that mission, and finally, he is the trophy for successful completion of the operation. My request for the next slide, I am going to talk about an operation which I have not only participated but lived for 75 days without food, without eating. You can understand if you have to survive for 75 days without food. I keep telling people, हमने घास की रोटियां भी खाई हैं during those 75 days to survive because we had to survive. What was the reason for not surrendering to the militants of Revolutionary United Front was the only reason that I can explain for the national pride. They wanted us to lay down weapons to the militants. There were 17 countries participating in this mission, out of which 16 countries laid down their weapons to the militants. They laid down their weapons in the feet of the militants and walked free. We were also given the option that you want to go back to your country. We will let you go. Only demand the militants had was that you also want to lay down your weapons. We worship our weapons. Uniform is the religion of Indian Army and weapon is the God. I tried to explain to them. Each day I tried to explain to them that let me walk out with my God. I will go back to my country. You keep everything else here. Whatever you want to keep, please keep it with you. I am ready to leave everything behind but for my weapon, which is my God. They did not understand. It took me 75 days of diplomacy to make them understand. Because we thought we are on a peacekeeping mission and peace should not be compromised at any cost. But finally, when they did not understand, we had to fight our way back. We had to carry out, execute Operation Khukri after 75 days, in which we killed those militants and we came back with honor, we came back with pride. This is the operation which has been very close to my heart, and incidentally, you would not hear or see any book written in first person anywhere in the world about any operation. You can always read a story which is in third person written by somebody else, maybe by a journalist, about an operation. But that amounts to that famous, I think, that Kavita, Kundele har bolo ke muh humne suni kahani. You are going to listen that kahani or that story from somebody, but not the person who has participated in that operation. For 20 years, I could not write about this operation. It was disturbing. Each day, I was telling myself that I had given a commitment to my soldiers after the operation that one day world would know about the Operation Khukri. Somehow, I was occupied in my profession. I didn't have the time to write about it. And it was disturbing me for the reason that after the operation, the British government had put their stamp on Operation Khukri. They claimed Operation Khukri to be a British operation because there were two helicopters, two Chinook helicopters had participated in this operation to take out Major Andy Harrison, the only officer of United Kingdom, was taken out by these two helicopters. Indian media did not have the reach in 1999 to go to Sierra Leone. BBC was time and again showing this operation to be a British operation. As a result, the world has reconciled that Operation Khukri was an operation of Britishers. This was disturbing me because we had lost a soldier in this operation, Havildar Kishan Kumar, the only soldier who lost his life not for his country, but for the pride of his country in a foreign country. And here are the people from European world who want to claim the operation to be a British operation. Therefore, it was time and again my conscience was being shaken up that I need to write. March 2000, I think 19, I thought very seriously that I need to write. Thereafter, Corona happened. My daughter, who was doing a job in Delhi, left her job, came to me where I am posted. I am posted in Danapur, which is in Bihar, looking after the Nepal border, looking after the states of Bihar and Jharkhand, as a general officer commanding. When she came after a couple of days, she told me, Papa, I am getting bored. I don't know what to do. I said, Bede, I have something which I have not been able to write. I am disturbed. I am not able to sleep. That is when two of us started writing this operation. It took about 1.5 years to become a reality. And this book, Operation Khukri, when it came out, I can share it with you. My battalion, which participated in this operation, celebrates this day when the book was written and it was launched, because it was pending for 21 years. Operation Khukri was never heard by anybody in India. It was the biggest success of Indian Army, biggest success of India, but the Indians did not know about it. I am happy that now that the book is come out, more and more people are writing to me through email, or maybe I am getting a lot of messages from people that they are thanking me for writing this book because they were not aware. A lot of requests came for translating the book in Hindi, and I am happy to share that the Hindi translation is complete because majority of country would be able to read it. The Hindi book is going to come out very shortly. This is a real story which I have written, and I have been absolutely honest in writing this book. Despite 21 years, I have not forgotten a single day how we survived. We were surrounded by about, I can say, 1,000 odd militants, and we were about 200 odd number of soldiers, and we had to survive. And that is how I said, we had to survive to succeed, we had to survive to fight. This book, for me, is not only a book, but it is something which I can feel, I can share the emotions with you today. Within the constraint of time, I would like to share about the story of Sierra Leone. Can I request for the next slide, please? Sierra Leone, as you see on the map, indicated West Africa is a very small country. Sierra Leone was a British colony up to 1961. It became independent in 1961. The Britishers left. The capital of Sierra Leone is known as Freetown. Why it is known as Freetown? Because the slaves from the Western world were released in this country, and that is how the term Freetown, that now you are free. The slaves who did good service to their masters were released here, and that is how Freetown came as a name. You can understand a country which was very rich in mineral resources. Diamonds, the best diamonds in the world are in Sierra Leone. The same diamonds became the cause of the problem. Because, you see, those diamonds by the rebels were being sent into the developed countries, and in return they were getting weapons. Revolutionary United Front was started by Fode Senko. Fode Senko was a corporal in the army of Sierra Leone. There was a lot of corruption after the Britishers left, and he wanted the country to be free of corruption. And once RUF was started, it was a very good initiative. But slowly, the corruption by RUF started, and RUF started the atrocities, what you saw on the video. The soldiers in uniform were the RUF soldiers who were killing the locals. When we went there, you can believe that 20% of the population either did not have a hand or a leg. The normal punishment was known as half sleeves and long sleeves. I'm sure you can understand when they half sleeves means hand has to be cut from here this is the punishment. And long sleeves, the hand has to be cut from here to make it a long sleeve. That was a punishment for routine, small little mistakes being done by anybody. That is RUF. The most deadliest, I would say, rebel organization in the world was RUF, and we, the Indian soldiers, defeated them in their own heartland. That is the kind of success story being written in this book. And you see, I want to share it with you, but more details as you read in the book, you would understand that I have covered the mission starting from India, going to Sierra Leone, and then even describing those 75 days, how we survived, and finally, how did we launch the Operation Khukri. Next slide, please. This is Sierra Leone. As you see on the map, there were 3 provinces: Northern Province, Southern Province, and Eastern Province. Eastern Province was mainly the mountains. The other 2 were plains. The rebel organization primarily was in the Eastern Province, and that is where the diamonds in the hills were there. You see the name Calahon, easternmost, I would say, part of Sierra Leone. That is Calahon, where I was deployed with a company. With Guinea on the north, Liberia on the south. Liberia was supporting the Revolutionary United Front, and that is how they were getting the support from a country which is the neighboring country. Next slide, please. As I said, Sierra Leone is a very small country which post 1961 was having a single party rule. And that is how corruption started in that country, and corruption reached to a peak where Pode Senko had to initiate RUF to fight corruption. And while fighting corruption, ultimately he started giving the people of Sierra Leone the most difficult, I would say, life that they could not even dream. Next slide. Coming to the UN peacekeeping, though it is not part of the book, but just to make you understand that United Nations peacekeeping has got a mandate. When you go to the UN, you're part of a mandate which I have tried to list out. I am not going into details of this. But if you see the second bullet, where I written impartiality, neutrality by the UN force is very important. You got to be impartial, you got to be absolutely neutral. Therefore, if you go to the UN, you can understand that you are kind of a mediator between the parties which are fighting in the UN, in that country. Next slide, please. There are 2 chapters under which we go to the UN. Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. Chapter 6 is primarily peacekeeping, and Chapter 7 is primarily peace enforcement. That is, you fight to create peace. We had gone as part of Chapter 6, that primarily means we had gone there to do peacekeeping assignment. We are not to fight to create peace. Next slide, please. Somehow, after, I would say, initial couple of months, when the civil war again started, and we all were surrounded by the militants, that is when Chapter 6 became Chapter 6.5. That was a new term designed to cover the mission in Sierra Leone. Next slide, please. Now, coming to the book, you see, as I already said, Britishers had put their stamp on the operation. This was the biggest success story of a country being lost. It was a tactical level victory. When I say tactical level, it is at the ground level we achieved the victory. But somehow it could not be taken forward at the strategic level, at the national level. We could not, I would say, take advantage of the success of Indians in Sierra Leone by way of mutual trade with Sierra Leone, by way of country to country, I would say, agreements, people to people talk. social, cultural interactions that did not happen. Next slide, please. Now, while writing the book, there were people part of this operation and everybody had a different perception. What I have written is my perception as a man on ground, as a man at Calais. When you write a book on an operation, you need a lot of clearances from the military. Why I am bringing out all these? Because I had to go through all these clearances from my headquarters. Once you are retired, you can write a book, nobody will stop you. But when you are in service, well, you write a book, you need approvals, you need headquarter clearances and all that had to come about. It happened in a record time because when I went and met the headquarters, I could explain that it is very important and urgent to write this book because we need to put our ownership of the operation. Next slide, please. I'm going fast because I would request somebody to take on any question with me. I'm there to answer to any of your questions. Therefore, I'm not going into details of the presentation. I shall leave it here, this presentation. Now, focus of the book, when I decided to write, when I said Operation Khukri, the focus would be those 2 days when we did the fighting to break that siege, to break that cordon, or it could be the entire 75 days how we survived. We couldn't have done justice only talking about those 2 days. That is how I have gone about in a way that I have started the book from India, taken the mission to Sierra Leone, thereafter getting deployed into Sierra Leone. Initially, couple of months, whatever we could do, I have described in the book. Then the civil war again started, and then the 75 days of survival when you are surrounded by the militants, and finally the operation when you carry out fighting breakout to break the siege and come back. In the entire operation, one thing which I wish to highlight, and I have written in the book also, the commander of the rebels who was there was a brigade commander. His name was Colonel Martin. Next slide, please. Now you see in this photograph, onto the right, onto your right is a man sitting next to me. I am wearing the blue beret. The man sitting next to me was the brigade commander. Younger than me, this is the leadership of RUF. Young children were commanding brigades and battalions. The man who is, I would say, to the left and bottom, General Isa, was the overall in charge of RUF. Again, a man of just about 28. They were the commander. So can you expect them to be rational? They are young children who are commanding brigades and the army of the rebels. Self and Martin became good friends because I was meeting Martin almost every couple of days to negotiate and talk to him. And 75 days is a very long time. We had flag meetings. And over, I would say, a couple of days, we developed a human relationship of friends. And every time Martin would tell me, Major, why don't you go home? And I would say, Martin, I want to go home with honor. Let me go with my weapon, I will go. And he would say, I can't let you go because every other peacekeeper has gone by laying down weapons, you got to lay down the weapons. This human relationship I have described in the book. You would read, you would realize that how difficult it is for a man who has developed a friendship with a rebel commander. And ultimately the two are fighting. On the day when we are breaking out, I don't know he's alive or he lost his life in that operation. That dilemma of a soldier to do his duty versus his friend has been described in this book, and people who are read it, they tell me that you try to be, I think, very honest with your emotions. That how can you start killing the people who actually helped you during those 75 days. The civilian people who were in California, they helped us. And ultimately, when I'm breaking out, I'm bringing down heavy fire on California town. And that is how, when I think Mustafa was giving my introduction about Ram Rahim, Dera Sacha Soda. Here I was surrounded by the militants for 3 months. And in Ram Rahim, Dera Sacha Soda, I was surrounding. I was outside. And I would say followers of Ram Rahim were inside the Dera. Once we had surrounded the Dera, what happens next in the military operation is that you attack. The way it happened in Operation Blue Star. After surrounding the Golden Temple, Indian Army went ahead for the clearance of Golden Temple. I did not do it. I said, let me give peace a chance. Because I had stayed inside a cordon for 75 days, I could understand the sentiments of people inside. And that is how I walked into Dera Sacha Soda, spoke to those people and brought them out without causing a single casualty. So somehow I have written in this book also that what helped me to sort out the problem of Ram Rahim Dera Sacha Soda was my lessons I learned in Operation Khukri in California. There is a linkage which I have written. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next. Next. Now if you read in the book page 197, and I have exactly written what I am showing on the slide. I did not allow the operation in Sirsa to follow the precedent set by Operation Blue Star for vacating the Golden Temple. Because I was conscious of the fact, being part of Operation Khukri. Finally, what happened after 75 days, that we realized that they are not going to understand. We realized we cannot survive anymore because we had no rations to eat. That is how we carried out fighting breakout. We launched Operation Khukri. We broke that siege around us, walked through jungle for 70 kilometers. It happened over 2 days, and we could come back to the country with honor. What I was trying to show here, for vacating the Golden Temple in 1984, in my opinion, the collateral damage that transpired post-Blue Star with India losing its Prime Minister was something that was uncalled for. This is written in the book. I am reading to straight from it. Next slide. Next. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank Raisoni Group, Orange City Literature Festival organizers to invite me here today. And I'm glad to be here to talk about my book. I would request for any questions you have on Operation Khukri. I don't see or feel that some of you or maybe a couple of you would have read it, but I would definitely request you to read it. I cannot explain what I have written. I am only here to talk about the larger picture. The details would be in the book. Any questions by anybody in the audience?
Sir,
Yeah.
there are two questions, sir. I'm Colonel Akinder Godbole, sir.
Oh, very nice.
Though it's not in detail brought about in the book by you, sir. The force commander was General Lee, an Indian general officer. And like you said, the cordon off period was 75 days plus, and then 2 or 3 days of breakup. Did you ever at that time feel that probably the force commander being an Indian general, decisions were delayed, the breakout operation permissions were delayed, And did you ever feel that way?
Yes, sir. You see, when you are surrounded and you are facing life and death every day, I would like to tell the children, biggest lesson you get in life is when you face death. And we were virtually looking into the eyes of death every day. And we're getting disturbed why force headquarters is not doing anything. Believe me, we were uncomfortable that why no help of league assistance is coming from the headquarters. So you are right, it was disturbing. We were wondering why is nothing happening at the headquarters. So that was one thing which you are very right and I accept it.
Sir, related to it only, sir. 75 days is a very long period, sir, of being caught up. Motivation is a very small word when we talk about being caught off for 75 days. How are you have been able to keep your own sanity and the sanity of your men for that period? Because there would have been internal rifts, there would have been cases of fratricide attempted or mutiny kind of thing. So how will you be as a company commander, you were able to handle, or how did you handle it?
Thank you very much, sir. Very good question. I think what you said is absolutely right. Perception is individual. It's not collective. We have a perception that we are in peacekeeping mission. When all other peacekeepers have gone the way they have gone, why is our company commander not agreeing to the rebels' demand and simply walking off? So there were different opinions. Each day was unique. And I would get a report, you have been in army, sir, you know how you get a report from senior JCO or the company Havaldar Major telling you, ki saab, so and so boy is talking like that, and there is a group which is saying that let's walk out. Why should we take orders when you are into battle, as you know, sir? I mean, everybody is free to do what he has to do. So firstly, what I have to do is to maintain regular routine in the company. Starting from morning, I would say stand to. Mornings stand to, till evening stand to. There were classes, there were training, there were preparation, there was evening volleyball match. Routine was maintained to keep them as one entity. And secondly, luckily for me, one signal boy, you have signals, he disobeyed my orders. Once he disobeyed my orders, in Indian Army there is a field punishment. You tie him up onto I would say tree or something like that, and you order a firing squad to fire. In battle, for disobeying orders, there is a law in military which says field punishment. I went through that process. Though we did not open fire, but the firing squad was ready. The rifles were cocked, ready to fire, only waiting for my order to fire. That is when I asked the company, hereafter, in case anybody disobeys my orders, and that is when the company gave me commitment, hereafter, nobody will disobey orders. So things like that I have explained in the book that it was very difficult to keep the motivation. Because when you have a situation where it's matter of life and death, then I think everybody thinks differently. So it was a major challenge to keep the motivation. It was a Herculean task to keep them in the situation for 75 days. And every day I would walk out and come back and motivate them. There is something happening. Some positive feedback is coming just to keep them motivated. It's a good question, sir. And I think to hit the nail, that was a major challenge of 75 days. Any other question from anybody? Yeah.
So you said that there is a 200 people, your boys with you, and the maintenance was more than 1,000 in the count of thousands. So what is your plan B if you lost a fight between them? So is there any plan B that if I lost my 200 people in the fight, and what is your plan after that? Because as 200 people, it is a big count for you.
Well, thank you very much. When we started Operation Khukri, I had addressed a Sainik Sammelan, what we call is a Sainik Sammelan. I had told my soldiers that it is better to die in battlefield than to die of hunger. That was the motivation, that in any case we have to die because we have nothing to eat. And 75 days is a very long time. Sir would understand 30 days emergency ration we keep, dry ration, rice and dal we had consumed. Last 15 days the cook house was not functional. There was nothing to eat. So it was a situation where you have to die, then let's die fighting. And that is when we had tied a white handkerchief onto our helmets or maybe under the helmet. सर पे कफन जब बांध के निकलते हैं, then there is no plan. The plan B was either to succeed or to die. We had no plan B when we came out in fighting mode in this operation. There was only one plan, and that was to succeed. And God was kind. We only lost one boy, though a lot of us were injured, but we could come back. But there was no plan.
Just a question from my side. So if you could bring out to the audience, because I have gone through the book, and there's a special memento that is kept in the 14 Mechan's officer's mess.
What the umbrella?
It's mentioned in the book as the umbrella of resilience. If you could just bring out some aspects about that, sir.
Thank you, sir. We had weapons with us, but unluckily the weapons were lesser than the number of soldiers. That is how, when the actual operation happened, I was not carrying a weapon, I was carrying an umbrella. It was a black umbrella, and deliberately, rather than carrying it folded, I had opened it on my head, and 6.5 feet tall man with 3 feet height of the umbrella and walking in front of the company, then you can well imagine what would be the motivation of the company. So that umbrella did the trick, and everybody got charged up. That is being kept in my battalion as a memory of Operation Khukri. There are bullet marks on the umbrella. Luckily, it didn't hit me because we say in the battle, गोली पे नाम लिखा है. अगर गोली पे नाम लिखा है तो आप बचेंगे नहीं, और अगर नाम नहीं लिखा है तो don't have to worry. So that umbrella did something which I think 1,000 words couldn't have done. Now in the end, I am carrying 2 signed copies from my side. I would like to present whatever the organizers tell me to present those 2 books. I would request them to decide rather than me deciding. Better a book leke aao. So I would like to present 2 books to anyone you suggest.
The audience.
Anyone.
Who is looking forward to receive the books? Any 2 people? Okay. The guy in the gray sweater.
These are signed by me and my daughter, and I would only give it to you provided you will read it and then give me a feedback through, I think, Amazon. You can put down your book review also. What's your good name? God bless you. Happy reading. Yeah, it was great. I'm so happy you are getting. You must read it. In the end, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for inviting me here to talk about the book Operation Khukri. It's my life. It's not a book for me, and I have been very, very honest in writing about it, irrespective of what perceptions would different people have and talk about it. But I have been very honest. I even written down that I was taken hostage for, I think, around 10 days. I was a hostage. They captured me, took me into their headquarters, sleeping on ground, 2 riflemen standing on top of me. You can understand what life would have been for a company commander who have been captured and separated from his company. These are the kind of, I would say, experiences I have shared in the book. And I am sure some of you would find time to read it. And once again, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you, the organizers, for giving me time.
Winners never quit, and quitters never win. Truly, what a hero amongst all of us, Mr. Rajpal Punia. We all look up to fictional superheroes who save the world. But today, we have a real life hero right here with us today. I'm really honored and I'm really interested now to read your book even more because I'm really interested in the superheroes. So, reading a book about a real life hero who saved the Indian soldiers, it is just going to be a pleasure. At the outset, I would like to really thank Mr. Rajpal Punia sir for joining us here today. We wish to hear you again and be equally enlightened as we all are. And for my massive dear audience, I'm sure after witnessing this amazing, truly heroic conversation, you all are going to take home an enriched perspective with you today as I am. Once again, I humbly thank you all for joining us today. Until I see you for the next time, this is Mustafa Chooser signing off.
Welcome to Rai Soni Group, a vision beyond.